Hello and welcome to another edition of Talkin' Tunes. I am your host, Frank Walsh. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have watched the show over the past year or so, you know that I have had some very accomplished musicians, people who have played locally, nationally, and internationally. And they are very seasoned and they have played all over the world. But today, I have a very special treat for you. I have a young prodigy here who I am sure is going to follow in the footsteps of the greats who have paved the path for him. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you a young man of only 16, but when you hear him play, you are going to drop your jaw and say, he has to be lying about his age. So here, for my pleasure and yours, Mr. Max Carpenter. Max, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, I'm great. You think you can live up to that introduction?
I don't know, I hope.
So Max, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. And just as a little bit of history, folks, you know, I love to support local music and I go to different venues and different jams. And I've had the pleasure more than once to listen to this young man play. So Max, why don't you take a couple of seconds and look right into that camera and let the people know about Max Carpenter.
Well, I'm Max Carpenter. I'm 16 years old. I go to Dexter School in Brookline, and I live in Milton, Massachusetts.
And you play the guitar a little bit, don't you?
And I play the guitar.
How long have you been playing the guitar, Max?
7 years.
And where did you get your inspiration to do that? Of all the gazillions of instruments out there, why did you choose the guitar?
I just always, when I was little, I always kind of liked on the radio like rock music. So then, I don't know, it just struck me one day and I thought I should play guitar. And then I did, and I got lessons, and that was that.
Now, when you started playing, was it easy for you to pick it up and play? Because there are some people who, you know, can take years in order to learn the skills that you have. So I'm assuming that it came pretty easy for you?
In the beginning, not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, I liked it, but like, it wasn't like my favorite thing. And then right around when I was 12 was when I really started to get into it. You know, I thought, like, this is what I want to do and things like that. So it was more around 12 it started to become a little more easy for me. But when I first started, first couple of years, not so much.
Now, when you were playing, I've heard you play mainly the blues and sometimes a little bit of Texas, Southern rock. What would you consider your genre? Would you consider yourself a blues guitarist, a rock guitarist, a little bit of both? And
I used to, I mean, I guess a little bit of both, but more recently I've probably considered myself like a blues guitarist because I found that's what I really like to play now. So, and I've been getting into jazz too recently, but not as good as that as I am blues. So.
Okay. Now, you know, when you talk about the blues, who are some of the blues idols whom you have emulated or who have captured your attention that gave you that spark?
Well, I really like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Buddy Guy. I've seen Buddy Guy live a couple times. He's incredible. You know, I like guys like Robert Johnson too, some of the older guys.
Sure.
And you know, like B.B. King and things like that.
Very cool. You know, Robert Johnson, you know, went to the crossroads.
Yeah. Sold
his soul to the devil, right?
Yep.
Very cool, very cool. So would you consider yourself maybe a historian as well? Because I have talked with many different blues people, and some of the people who have been on the show, I was asking about what they consider the blues. I'll ask you the same question from a youthful perspective. If I said to you blues, what comes to your mind? What are the blues to you?
I don't know. I think it's just a really easy way to like express yourself through music versus like other forms of music. It's more just really expression filled and
emotional.
Yeah, emotional. So, but yeah, I guess that's what the blues is to me.
Very cool. Now, you mentioned that you want to dabble in jazz a little bit. Now, I am not a guitarist and I am not an instrumentalist, period. How easy or difficult is it to make a transition from one style of music to another?
Well, for blues to jazz, I think it's very difficult. It's just, jazz is just a lot more complicated, and there's a lot more that goes into it. You know, there's more like key changes and things like that that just make it really difficult to improvise over it and things like that. So I think it's definitely a challenge, but I mean, blues and rock are very similar and things like that, and it could be easier, but from blues to jazz, I think it's very difficult, and I'm starting to find it being hard to play jazz recently. So,
okay. Who are some of your jazz influences?
Well, I like Joe Pass.
Joe Pass, sure.
And Pat Metheny.
Oh.
And I mean, yeah, a lot of the standards too, and just play a lot of the jazz standards and things like that.
Well, you set your bar high. I had the pleasure of meeting Pat Metheny a couple of times when he first broke in, probably 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And he is just out of this world with the way he can play the guitar and the way he can bend the notes.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Great. Now, I know that you know, you have been out performing. I know that you also have played with some of the greats, some of whom have been on this show. So why don't you just talk for a minute about some of the places where you've played, and to follow up with that, how easy or difficult was it for you to get up on stage that first time to show your stuff?
Well, I've played at the Next Page in Weymouth.
In Weymouth, yep.
And then Players in Rockland.
Yep.
And Johnny D's in Somerville. And I mean, I think it wasn't necessarily that hard to, you know, get up on stage and bring myself to get up on stage, but I think it took a while to, you know, get improvisation down and things like that, and to get it so, you know, you're making good solos and things like that live, and I think I'm still working on that. But as far as like getting up on stage, I think it wasn't as hard as it would be for some people and things like that.
Very cool. Well, speaking of getting up on stage, folks, I think that you are going to have the pleasure in a minute to listen to this young man play his guitar. So, Max, why don't you do a little quick intro of what you're going to be playing right now?
I'll play just a straight 12-bar blues, and then I'll play Little Wing by Hendrix and Lenny by Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Very cool, and we'll get to that later. So why don't you go up there, and I'll take your microphone. You can get up there and grab your guitar and play. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, you are going to be in for a treat here listening to Max Carpenter, 16 years old. And as I say, you are going to be impressed and surprised at this young man's talents. So sit back and enjoy Mr. Max Carpenter. Come on over here, Max. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you that you are in for a treat. That was unbelievable. And I think one of the first things that I need to do is to check your identification, because I don't think that you're 16, and I think that your last name may be Vaughn or Hendricks or, Guy or something like that. I think you've done those songs proud, my friend. Thank you very much. That was fantastic. As you can see, time is going by very, very quickly, and I know that you would not be in the position where you are if it wasn't for your family support. And I had the pleasure of meeting your mom today and your grandfather today, and I have met him at some of the venues where you've been playing. So why don't you talk a little bit about the support unit behind you, your mother, your father, and your grandfather's influence on your music?
Yeah, my parents have always been supportive, and I mean, I wouldn't be playing guitar without them. And without my grandfather, I wouldn't even be playing the blues. So, I mean, I have to thank them for that,
Why don't you mention who your grandfather is and who your mother is?
My mom's Bridget Carpenter. My grandfather is Michael Cushing.
And two of the nicest people whom you want to meet, by the way, and I've had the pleasure of talking with them, and they are absolutely thrilled and proud of you. And I can honestly say that I see nothing but success in your future if you keep playing it the way that you're playing right now. But I know that you are in school, and you do have a job part-time, and what's next for you? You planning on going to college? Do you want to further your education? Maybe go to Berkeley, maybe a conservatory? What's in the future for you?
I'm hoping Berkeley. I mean, I'm looking at other colleges too, but I definitely want to go to college for music. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's definitely what I want to do. So.
Well, I think that Mom and Dad and Grandpa are going to be happy, because if you keep playing like that, I see a scholarship in your future, young man. They're going to be coming after you and beating the door down to get you in. So, I want to hear you play a little bit more, and I want you to show off a little bit. But is there anybody at home or anybody who you want to thank, or anybody whom you'd want to chat a little bit about before you get up and play your next song?
I mean, it's really without my grandfather, I wouldn't be playing. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be playing at any blues jams, and I wouldn't even be playing blues to begin with. He's the one who got me into it at first. So he's
a proud grandfather.
Yeah.
I can see it in his face.
Yeah, I really have to thank him. So.
You have any brothers, sisters?
I have a little brother, Finn.
Is he going to follow in your footsteps?
I don't know. He's taken a couple lessons, but we'll see where he goes with it.
Cool. Very, very cool. Well, as you see, time is moving down, so I think this is an opportunity maybe for you just to kind of get up there and show off a little bit.
All right.
All right, so go back up there and get it for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the future of music, Mr. Max Carpenter. Sit back and enjoy. Wow, Max. Come on back over here, young man. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you that third time you were looking at the future of music right here. And Max, you can come back here and show off anytime. Now, the first song that you played, what was the first one that you played there just then? That had a little familiar ring to it. Was that your own improvisation?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it was just a C blues.
Okay, I could hear a little bit of Matheny in there. I could hear just a little bit of some of those little riffs and some of the chord changes. That was really, really cool. And the second one, you just improvised and just play that off the top?
Pretty much. It was Little Wing by Hendrix.
That was the last one was?
Improv'd it. So.
Wow, that was unbelievable. So I need to probably help a little bit if I put your mic back on there, huh? But yeah, it's quite evident that you have a gift from God, and I hope that you just continue to play like that, because with that kind of a gift and with the blues audience out there and the rock and roll people out there, you need to be out in front of the masses and you need to share that gift. And I tell you, as you get a little bit older and you start progressing in your music, I bet they're going to be beating your door down and people are going to want you to play with them. And folks, having seen Max, get out there and support your local music venues. Again, you play at the Next Page, you play there usually on Thursday nights.
Yep.
Hopefully he'll get down to the Banner in Rockland Center on Wednesday nights, and I know that you play over at Players in Rockland on Sunday afternoons. So get out and support your local musicians, and definitely go out and keep an eye on Max. I know that you're just starting a Facebook page. You're going to be developing one pretty soon?
Yeah, I just started it like a month ago. So.
Okay, well, folks, go out and look up Max Carpenter and friend him. So, Max, I really want to sincerely thank you for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure. The folks at home are going to love it. I definitely want to thank your mom and your grandfather for bringing you in here and providing the support that they provide for you. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank Roxanne Morse, our director, for pushing the buttons and making us sound and look pretty today. Dave Young for his technical assistance, Jeff Pickett for his programming expertise, and Michael Hammond, who runs the ship. So for all of us here at SMAC and for Max Carpenter, I am Frank Walsh, and as always, tune in and tune on.
Thanks.